panicked.
Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, joined by Stu Bergier, Andrew Heaton, and Jason Howerton. Thanks, guys, for being here. Stu, what's the top story for you?
I think we found the most annoying cable news clip of all time.
Oh, good. Oh, man, I can't wait to hear it. Andrew.
So since Stu is in Glenn's seat and I am in Stu's seat, I am going to talk about tariffs and washing machines.
Yes!
Oh, hashtag tariffageddon, by the way, Stu. Yes. Thank you for creating that brilliant hashtag. Jason.
I think Democrats have lost the election on one issue, and that's abortion, and I'll explain why.
Okay, and I think you guys may be talking about...
Same clip?
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Chris Cuomo train here?
There you go. Okay. There you go.
Yeah, so Stu, why don't you intro this annoying clip right after we thank our sponsor. Would you?
I would love to.
Okay. Would you also love to talk about iTarget Pro?
Sure. iTarget Pro is really cool.
Yeah.
The Second Amendment's pretty cool, too. I like it.
Well, while we have it.
While it's still here. It's a nice thing to utilize. iTarget Pro, I'm not a gun guy at all. I lived in Connecticut. That's where I grew up. So, not really a big gun culture there, I wouldn't say.
Squash.
Thank you.
Squash and polo.
There's some squash and polo.
I don't know
Which has nothing to do with
I don't know a lot about
guns
Connecticut.
It's the vision of Connecticut. It was not my Connecticut.
Very offensive to Connecticutians.
No, I mean, a Connecticut, everyone's everyone's wearing polo shirts in a country club. I think there's a country club near me somewhere that I drove by
once. I saw the Stepford
once.
Wives. That was a documentary.
Point being.
You should go to the range a lot and get used to shooting your gun. However, that's very expensive. Even if you lived in Connecticut, you wouldn't be able to do that all the time. So iTarget Pro makes it so you can dry fire your weapon all the time and see how good you're doing with an actual target. It's a really cool product.
Actually, to be honest with you, I'm a gun guy. I'm the opposite. Born and raised in Texas, am a gun guy, and I've never heard of it, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You haven't?
I have not.
Oh my gosh. I'll bring mine in and let you try it.
Laser bullets.
So fun. Yes.
Let's do this.
That makes it worth it to just be like, yeah, I've got laser bullets. What's up?
And plus, for somebody who carries, that's a really important,
yes, dry firing.
Dry firing, drawing, all that stuff is really good to do, so that's fun.
So you can go to itargetpro.com, get 10% off plus free shipping with promo code NEWS. That is itargetpro.com. We apologize again to everyone who lives in Connecticut. Stu.
Chris Cuomo has a television show still. It's airing on CNN, apparently in prime time now, which is riveting. But they had an argument about abortion. And this is kind of what Cuomo does, right? Like Chris Cuomo sees himself as the greatest lawyer in American history. So he thinks he can argue every side of every point and be smarter than everyone else. That's just like the Chris Cuomo way. And so he's got the typical boxes going on with the left box and the right box, and they're going to talk about abortion. And it's. I mean, to say it's the dumbest piece of television you've ever seen in your life might be understating it, but here it is.
When a woman gets pregnant, that is not a human being inside of her. It's part of her body. And this is about a woman having full agency and control of her body and making decisions about her body and what is part of her body with medical professionals. Those are the facts, and that is the law of the land.
Listen, and they can do whatever they want to that.
This is about a woman's body.
They can name the baby.
Listen, they
can do whatever they want. They can torture the baby.
The
debate is
fine. You're so desperate here. You're so desperate here.
No, listen,
you're bringing up fake
I'm just asking.
Does everybody feel smarter?
I think I've changed my mind on whatever my previous stance was on abortion. No.
Oh, wow, there it is.
I just want to.
No one in America changed their mind based on anything that was said in that clip.
No, I mean, I don't. I mean, because I think you're going down this road too. Of there's a line you can have when we've had in-depth conversations about this topic, and you can have it with rational people who make rational points. But there's a difficult argument there. The idea that when you're pregnant, you're not pregnant with a human being is like you're stretching it to just the bizarre ends of this, to the point of it's not even. It is. There's a point there, right? Like there, she kind of makes it towards the end of like, well, this is about a woman making her decision with her own body, and as everyone knows here, that I don't agree with the way she's framing that. But the idea that we don't recognize that it's a human being is just it's putting a position of denial, I think, where you can I think step back and say, like we talk about this about a lot of times where it's like, is it life, right? There's some people who think it's life, and if it's not life, and I think we all recognize that it's life, right? It is life at some level. Now you can say that life doesn't have rights because it's dependent on another life. I think there's a libertarian sort of strain of thought on that, which I think is probably the best argument for pro-choice if you want to make it that way. However, this is a human being. We should all just recognize that it's not going to turn into a Volkswagen. It's not going to turn into a tube of toothpaste. It is very, very obviously a human being. On the other side, I think there is an interesting point there that Rick Santorum's attempting to make, which is, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this, Andrew. If it is a part of her, essentially, which is theoretically the argument here, it's dependent on her, obviously that's true. If it is a part of her, is there a limit of what you can do to it? For example, we have people who will do plastic surgery, for example, and make themselves look like cats. Horns out of their head, right? Like crazy things. That people cut themselves and terrible things like that. And while that is, you talked about it yesterday of like, it's your body and you own it, right? And when we talk about drugs and stuff, I think that's a very rational argument. You should be able to do things to yourself that are damaging. But if this baby is part of your body, essentially, is there a limit to what you can do to it? I'm not saying that there's a huge demand out there for people like, I want to go torture the baby inside of me. Like, I don't think that that's a thing. However, I didn't think
those fetal tattoo clinics over in the tattoo district.
I like that. I don't think that's a thing. However, I didn't think, putting in people, different strokes for different folks. People want horns on their head, so they go to get plastic surgery. They get plastic surgery to look like Barbie. I mean, there are weird freaking people out there. If someone wanted to do something what I would consider terrible to a fetus, right? If it does not have rights, if it is not a human, is there any limit to that? And I think everyone would probably step to the plate and say, yeah, no, you can't do certain things to that baby while it's in there. But I don't know how that connects with the larger argument. I think again we're probably talking about a later term situation here, which I know that's not where you stand, Andrew. But still, I think there's a bit of denial that goes on in these conversations with the current left-wing position. And for a long time it was, look, Roe versus Wade said largely first trimester only. And these are women who are in difficult situations. They might be struggling. We have to understand, and all that's very true. And there's an argument there, I think, that appeals to people, especially at the emotional state where you're like, well, if someone's in a difficult position, this is something that they might not be able to handle. People can understand that. And that's where the debate has been for a long time. The debate isn't there anymore. I mean, the Democrats, they have 22 candidates running, and they can't find one who will say no to abortion 30 minutes before birth. They can't find one. There's not one candidate they can find that will say, nah, you know what, 8 months, 30 days, and 23 and a half hours is, we're going to stop it there. They can't find one. And that is just a totally different, I feel like the party has moved quite a bit on this issue.
Yeah,
well,
Jason.
So I just want to say this. I think you're right. I think abortion for the left has become what for a long time, and I'm not saying the two issues are the same, so please save the tweets, but the way the right has been about guns, which is nothing. Yeah. Don't touch it, don't look at it, don't do anything with it. And so now the at least Democrats, I honestly don't even think regular American Democrats, I'm talking about Democrats in Congress, have dug in their heels so hard on this issue that, like you're saying, they can't say, no, let's not kill them 30 minutes before they're born, right? They're saying the only way to get there at that point is to do what Christine Quinn did, which it's not a human being, so there doesn't need to be restrictions because it's not a human being, so we can do whatever we want with it, right? If it's right before birth, it's still attached to her, it's her body, her choice, whatever. So it's not that people are advocating for, saying we should do this, but what they are saying is that, if it's a decision that can be made, there shouldn't be any restrictions on it whatsoever. So I know you have opinions on abortion that are probably different than mine, but
I'm slightly out of sync here.
Correct, but I feel like the fact that we can't all just say, okay, we disagree about fundamentally, right? But there is a line. This isn't gun rights. We're talking about human lives, in my opinion, human lives. So there has to be a line that we can get to. And to me, it seems really simple to at least, we're going to disagree, but let's draw the line on late term, and let's not let this keep creeping, and understand that when states pass these up until birth abortion laws, that is an affront on humanity in my opinion. And I feel like that's always been a very standard thing we've all kind of agreed on. And now that we're at this point where you can't even say there should ever be even the tiniest regulation on abortion because I guess they think it hurts their base or whatever. That's the dangerous part that we're in. So I know you're going to say it's rare, it doesn't really happen often, but it does happen.
Sit back. You guys can tell me what I'm going to say.
Okay.
With him and Kevin Williamson in here, you'd never have to say
That's right, yeah.
So late-term abortion may be rare, but it does happen, and I feel like it should never happen. And so that's where I want to get to is it never happens. So please tell me what you actually think.
A few things. I'm glad that you pointed out that there's a difference between Democratic politicians and regular run-of-the-mill Democrats, because it's such a divisive issue. It's such a divisive issue. However, maybe not the majority, but the plurality of American citizens are actually kind of where I'm at, which is I think beginning the first trimester it should be legal. Third trimester I'm getting pretty squeamish about it. That's where most people are, including most Democrats. Getting into the kind of the nitty-gritty of this, I want to go back real quick to the human being element of it, because I think the pushback that's coming from that is that if we're using the term human being, there's a presumption of full personhood, which is the thing that people in the pro-choice camp are railing against. So I would be very happy to call it's a human fetus, it's a human zygote. We're not, the species is not in question. It's rather the status of personhood, which for me is a very big issue.
It's about rights. It's not about life. It's about rights.
Right, and I don't want to kill a person, right? Which is where this gets kind of squirrely for me, and why I think it's always going to be a difficult issue for me. Is I don't think that 3 weeks after conception that is a human being that has a soul. I think it's a number of cells. So I don't want to make a woman have it at that point because I see that as akin to slavery. However, there is some point, and I'm not really sure when it is, there is a point at which that is a person in the womb, and I don't want to kill it.
Would you say heartbeat would be a good indicator of that, or is that not?
No, I don't think I will. I mean, that's like, what, 6 weeks in?
Is it?
Yeah.
But there too, I'm going to say, like, I'm not. This is not something that I know super well. I can't give you that clear answer.
Can I ask you something? Why is it that how many weeks in matters? Right, like, I mean, we're talking about a heartbeat is a heartbeat is a heartbeat. So why did you ask how many weeks in it was before you answered the question?
For me, I'm more interested in cognitive development. I'm interested in whether there is something approaching thought and whether there is an appreciation of pain. So this is not how babies are made, but let's say theoretically they had a heartbeat like day 2, but they didn't have a brain until 3 months in, wouldn't have a problem up until the brain was there. So for me, and I'm also the secular person at the table, I don't think there is a soul. So for me, that's not part of the equation. I think it probably isn't part of the equation for you guys. And then in terms of the rarity and that kind of thing, that is a thing worth bringing up. When we talk about third trimester abortions, the amount of elective abortions that take place in the third trimester is like 1 or 2%. And I would be happy to outlaw elective abortions at the third trimester. I don't know how I'm not sure from a regulatory standpoint how you would do that, because if you're going to be in the position of if the mother's life is at threat, are you allowed to do it? Which I would be in favor of that.
I think a lot of reasonable people would say yes.
People would, although again, you're talking about limited cases.
Yeah,
I mean, at this point, when you're in a third trimester, you just
the odds,
C-section, and you'd have the baby. And I mean, there are many doctors who, and of course, there's some on the other side as well. But most doctors say, look, there's no reason you can't save a life a week before birth by killing the baby. Like that's not a thing. Like you take it out.
And this is also, I think, where it gets really touchy. Now, I've never been in this situation. I hope I'm never in this situation. But I started looking into this because
you've never been pregnant.
Never been pregnant. Okay. I don't think I will be.
I look pregnant after certain months.
But no, like when we talk about that, because most of the time when we're talking about third trimester abortions, we're not talking about someone just goes like, you know what? Actually, no. Like it's usually something serious that's happening there. The stories that I've read, it's usually, at least a large portion of the time, it's where the doctors are very, very confident that the fetus is going to die or that the baby's going to die. And I've read some awful situations where someone had the kid knowing that it was going to die, and it was in horrible anguish and pain for a week. I never want to make this decision, but if I were given the decision of like, look, this is just going to live and be in anguish and pain for a week, and then it will die. I don't think I'd want to go through it.
Why are we such bad adults that we can't say that, of course, nobody wants a baby to suffer, they don't want a mother to die, but so electively, like why can't the law reflect that across, you know what I mean?
If you wanted to write a resolution of like elective abortions on healthy babies are outlawed in the third trimester, like, yeah, sure, I'd sign off on that. I think most people would too. But I do think that is such a comparatively small part of that pie, though.
Last words, Stu.
I mean, first of all, I would just bring, 1 to 2%. You're right; it's a small percentage. It's still tens of thousands of lives, and I think we have to remember that it's not just, it isn't just a numbers game on this one. I mean, it's real human beings. I would say that, like, I think there's a tendency to want to kind of bring this into these really tough questions, because there's a lot of tough lines we're talking about here, and I think they're interesting lines and really important. The issue, I think, though, on a larger perspective, is like people think of like Roe versus Wade as this big liberal thing, and I would certainly argue from my position it is. It's not liberal from where we are. It is a massive move to the conservative side from where we are. What you're talking about, I mean, Republicans can't get 20-week bans passed in states. They're getting overruled there. You want first trimester. That's when you're at 12, 13. Like that's a dream to Republicans right now. We are nowhere near that line, and I think that if we can move back, the conservative move is going back to Roe versus Wade at this point. I mean,
That's true.
It would at least be a move in the right direction.
I think the concern is where we're going, not where, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're barreling down the road towards something that's scary to me. So.
All right, we got to take a break. Back in a minute.
I'm concerned they can't get Democrats to say, just like, no.
Before we get to #tariffageddon, I want to thank our sponsor, Relief Factor. So it's really simple. I know there are a lot of you guys out there who just live in constant pain and you just think, this is my life, and it just sucks every day waking up. It doesn't have to be that way. I know from personal experience, I take Relief Factor for some protruding discs in my neck that I was like you. I was walking around all day. It was always just there in pain, and I thought that was just going to be my life, and it's not anymore because of Relief Factor. You can go to relieffactor.com right now. Get the 3-week Quick Start Pack for $19.95. 70% of the people who buy that Quick Start Pack go on to keep purchasing it. It's working for them. It can work for you. Go to relieffactor.com, or you can call 800-500-8384. Andrew, tariffageddon.
Tariffageddon.
I mean, I'm sorry, Stu, alternate Stu.
Alternate Stu, yes. I've been upgraded. I'm temporarily at a higher leadership level. So we've been in a trade war for about a year now, and I want to compare the trade war to when you're in a restaurant and you clearly need to push on the door, but you're pulling on the door. That's what a trade war is. And what the president decided to do over the weekend on Sunday is double down on that. So we're going to pull harder to try and get that to work. And it's not going to work. So right now, we're losing consumers, you, me, people watching the program, because all of these tariffs filter down to the consumer level. We're losing about $1.4 billion a month, which is no small amount of change. You've done a very eloquent exposition on washing machines specifically, and how they're up to $200, that kind of thing. What he's looking to do is double the amount of tariffs that we have on Chinese products right now. From I think right now it's 10. We bring it up to 25%. There's only about 40% of stuff from China that's not currently tariffed. We'd add some of that to it. The main thing I want to communicate is this is a tax. It's a stealth tax, because no one wants to call it that, but it is very much a tax. It's a tax to punish you for having the gall to buy something from a foreigner. And I feel very strongly that as a free citizen of a free republic, I can hire, have sex with, and buy from anyone I want. That is 100% my business.
Sometimes all at once.
One of these
You know what? In
things is not
Vegas
like
you
the
can.
other.
In Vegas you can. And I don't think the government needs to be involved with that. And more to the point, that's the main reason I don't like tariffs. Is I don't like them for that reason. They're a punitive tax on behavior that someone doesn't like. But beyond that, it's also very bad economics. It's gonna create problems. It could create really big problems if we double down on it. We stick with it for a while. Yeah. So I am hoping. The most generous understanding of this particular proposal is that maybe Trump is doing it temporarily to try and redo the trade system that we have with China. They are abusing intellectual property. I see very little evidence of that, although I hope I'm wrong. I hope it does turn out to be a temporary measure.
Yeah, it is one of those things that we keep saying, like, I think it's a negotiation. It's probably a negotiation. And
but then he'll say things like trade wars are good.
Great, and easy to win.
Yeah.
And there's also this line of like, okay, like if you keep saying, like, if you're not nicer to me, honey, I'm going to cheat on you. And then you keep saying it and you keep escalating the claims to your wife. I'm going to cheat on you soon. And then you just start having sex with other people. And then you keep saying, I'm going to keep cheating on you. At some point, you're actually cheating on her. Like, it's no longer a threat of cheating. You've actually done it a lot of times. And we're there. Like, we're there. The thing I think is really unfortunate about this is, like, we're at a point where we have really low unemployment. We have, a very solid stock market. We've done a lot of really good economic things. I have a lot of criticism for Trump, but I would say, like, he's done a decent job in reducing regulation.
Yeah, but he's been very good on deregulatory stuff.
And that's important. It's something that we've asked for a long time. The tax thing wasn't great, but it was okay. There's been some good things that have happened, and I feel like without this tariff thing, I mean, imagine what this economy could be doing. It is the one thing holding it back. I will say so far it's been at a relatively small level. You mentioned, was it $1.4 billion a day?
A month. Yeah.
A month, sorry. The washer and dryers you brought up, it's like a couple $100 for a set if you're going to buy. Is that going to stop all purchases? No, but that is significant. And when you spread that out over all these products and we increase and increase and increase, it's only going to make it worse. I don't understand it. He's one of maybe 10 people, I think, in the United States who thinks like this is a workable economic policy. But I'm with you, and like I just think it's I didn't want to elect a Republican to raise taxes, which is what this is. He's nullified approximately a third of the effect of the tax cut with these tariffs, and I would just I'd much rather go another way where just from a principle standpoint, we should be able to be free to be able to trade with other nations. It's what's made the world really improve over the past 100 years.
Yeah, it's almost like we should look at history and how it's gone and learn from that. Back in a minute.
Love the nerd talk.
Everyone is talking about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and her little Instagram video, where she apparently did not know what a garbage disposal was. She was very unfamiliar. It was very scary for her. Here at BlazeTV, we actually got an exclusive look at, there was actually an unedited version of the video that we have. I'm really excited for you guys to watch. Take a look.
I don't know what to use it for or what its purpose is. Like food scraps, like is this environmentally sound? I don't know.
So, like, if this is environmentally sound, it could be, like, a really great place to put my policy proposals. I don't particularly understand what this thing is. It appears to be a big metal triangle. I plugged it in, and it's just sitting here, not doing anything. So I also found this in my new bougie apartment, and I don't know what this is. I've never seen this before. And I mean, like, I don't know anything about it. It looks like really old, and there's no, like, there's a lot of writing. And it's just like, I'm gonna be honest with you right now. Like, if there's no pictures in it, I'm not gonna read it. And this device is terrifying too. Like, what purpose does it, like, serve? I mean, it just sits here and you pull a lever and it's just a water machine. Like, it literally just spins water down. That's wasteful. I mean, I'm common folk, just like you. I can't be, understanding these modern day contraptions. I literally have no idea what this substance is, like, falling from the sky, but like, I feel like I should ban it with the Green New Deal. What a dummy, am I right? God, what an idiot.
This is something I kind of just want to see her explain things, basic things about our environment. Like, tell us about the things that she runs into.
I just want her to explain life to me.
Yeah.
Like, all the time.
I don't want to burst your bubble, but I really don't think she can do that.
It's going to be a challenge.
Okay. I mean, we're never going to know, but I wonder, was that just an act? She's got to know what a garbage disposal is.
So I've heard New Yorkers really have an issue with that, but like
not where she's from. Overtime tonight.